Hello my dear friends. I welcome you to the Smart Economics channel. The trend of 2021 in the world of digital assets is investing in NFTs. Many have heard about it, but not everyone knows what it is. So, a non-fungible token, NFT, also known as a unique token, is a type of cryptographic tokens, each instance of which is unique, specific, and cannot be exchanged or replaced by another similar token, although tokens are usually fungible in nature. A non-fungible token is a digital object uniqueness certificate, a digital cryptographic certificate that confirms the right to own a digital asset. NFT does not prevent the copying of a digital artifact. It only secures ownership of the original copy of the digital artifact. NFTs are often criticized due to the use of NFTs by scammers. The usefulness of establishing property rights in an often illegal, unregulated market is also called into question. Non-fungible tokens are used across multiple platforms to prove ownership of digital assets and the right to use them. Most often we are talking about digital items, such as copies of works of computer art, collectible digital items, online games. Popular games on blockchain platforms such as CryptoKitties used unique tokens in the form of smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Unique tokens are also used to create game resources that are managed by the user and not by the game developer. This allows you to trade assets on third-party marketplaces without the participation of the game developer. The idea of NFT is to issue and record unique, non-fungible tokens in the blockchain instead of fungible tokens that are used as electronic money. Such a token is no longer a currency, but an individual entity, and each has its own price. At the same time, the token can be associated with some product and thus transfer the properties of the token to it. Information about each transfer of the token is also recorded in the blockchain, thanks to which it is known who is currently the owner of the goods, and a double sale is impossible. The goods themselves are usually digital, but how exactly they are stored and how they are associated with the token is a separate issue, and different platforms have different solutions for this. This is how things work in theory. Now look at this bear and tell him that paying more than $5,000 for him is a normal, sound idea. The secret is that 10,000 of these Chubikes were generated, and not a single Chubike more. Buyers are guided by a simple logic. If there is a limited amount of something, then it will only rise in price, just like, for example, Bitcoin. And if you see a serious flaw in this logic, then don't be upset, it's completely normal. There are many such stories now. The platforms that trade in digital art have been the most vocal, most notably the Foundation and Nifty Gateway. Paintings and animated videos here go for millions of dollars. How is it that no one sees the catch and people continue to spend crazy money for no one knows what? And do these people even exist? Let's understand this issue in order to better understand what is happening. It is possible that in a couple of years there will be no trace of the current realities. What's inside the NFT? The technical basis of NFT is most often Ethereum, in accordance with which smart contracts are created that allow the issuance of non-fungible tokens. One of the important features of Ethereum is the need to pay for gas. This is the virtual fuel that is consumed in every transaction with the blockchain, including the issuance of new tokens. Therefore, an artist can spend $50 to put the work up for auction, and then it will be sold for $5. What is being sold with NFTs? Tokens can be divided into three large groups according to the categories of goods that are sold with their help. Art. Analog of traditional works of art. Game items. For example, cards in collectible card games, unique characters, space in virtual worlds, and the like. They differ in that they can somehow be used. Collectible items. Specially created for collecting virtual cards, figurines, avatars and other things of dubious usefulness, but produced in limited editions. Where is all this for sale? Platforms can be divided into two large groups, curated and non-restrictive. Among the first are Super Rare, Nifty Gateway, Foundation, Known Origin, Maker's Place. Free sites, OpenSea, Rarible, Mintable, Portion, Infi NFT, Cargo. The difference between them is quite obvious. The former monitor what they put up, the latter allow anyone to issue tokens. At the same time, it is more profitable for artists to get on Foundation or Nifty, since buyers are closely watching everything that appears there. Many platforms of this type specialize in limited-time sales of the collections of famous artists. From 2017 to 2021, the NFT world lived on its own and was mostly entertainment for the jaded Bitcoin rich. But the first high-profile deals attracted the attention of a wide audience, and with it, new money. The first such deal was the sale of the Nyan Cat meme. Its author, Chris Torres, put up a specially redrawn and improved version of the animated cat for auction by the Foundation and earned 300 ETH, or $960,000 at the current exchange rate. Singer Grimes, best known for her famous entrepreneur husband Elon Musk, is auctioning off a series of war nymph works she created with her brother, artist MacBush Hair, to Nifty. Total revenue for War Nymph was about $6 million. Some of the works left in a single copy, others, in editions of hundreds of copies. Additional PR was provided by Elon Musk. Where, in fact, to look for enthusiasts of such things, if not among his followers on Twitter. The real turning point for NFT was the sale of Everydays, the first 5,000 days by Michael Winkelmann, better known by his pseudonym Beeple. The amount of the transaction is so far an absolute record for the NFT, $69.3 million. This is a lot even outside the cryptocurrency world. Among the works sold during the life of the artist, there are only two that cost more. However, not only the price tag is interesting here. The work itself is also unusual. The first 5,000 days is not just a painting, but a collage of 5,000 images, each of which people spent one day, hence the name. The result is a gigantic canvas, accumulating the work of 13.5 years. Another difference of this transaction is the participation of the Christie's auction house. Although the Nifty platform was responsible for the technical side, the painting was formally sold in the usual, traditional way for great art. The buyer even received a token in the form of a physical souvenir. Apparently, the goal was precisely to convince collectors of the seriousness of the whole undertaking. True, in the end, the painting was bought not by some museum or the owner of a private collection of traditional art, but by someone under the pseudonym Medokovan. It is noteworthy that this Medokovan is the owner of an investment fund that invests in NFTs, and he has previously acquired Beeple's paintings. By the way, even before the story with 5,000 days he sold his works for $3.5 million. Because NFTs are so new, they are not cheap to use. On the online marketplace OpenSea, a typical NFT changes hands for the equivalent of $100 to $1,000. But the cryptocurrency transaction costs to fund these purchases are roughly $40 to $60, so small buyers incur gigantic costs. OpenSea also charges its own commission of 2.5%. That's why expensive things make a lot of sense for buyers who can afford it. It's kind of a bubble. Sometimes buyers just hear it's cool and good and don't even know what NFT is, but they still want to buy, and some of those people will get hurt. NFTs bring objectivity to the properties they sell, but they cannot bring it to the buyers of the properties because they are people. NFT allows you to claim indisputable rights to a specific digital object and track the entire history of ownership of a particular asset. But what exactly are these rights? Owning an NFT does not necessarily mean owning the particular object associated with it. How do digital content creators protect NFT works from scammers? We have not yet touched on one of the key problems of all online content, banal copy-paste. It is the issue of protecting rights in the digital space and regulating the entire NFT market that creates in the eyes of the public the idea of non-fungible tokens as another bubble that is about to burst. In fact, NFT is just a certificate confirming certain rights associated with an object. In the chain of resale of a digital work, in the absolute majority of cases, the original is involved only once, when the token is directly created. Then, with each new sale, a local copy of the object put up for auction is created, and with each repetition, its value steadily decreases. Despite the fact that the NFT itself, as a collection of metadata about a work, looks rather primitive. The fact of a transaction between two verified persons with its help can indeed be proven in court. Therefore, the question arises only for the legitimacy of the transaction itself. The fact of a transaction and transfer of a token from one person to another is recorded in smart contracts. In a number of countries, smart contracts have already been officially recognized and incorporated into national legislation. However, NFT itself does nothing to protect content creators from theft and loss of revenue. It is physically impossible to steal the original token, but nothing prevents you from copying the file to which the NFT put up for auction is linked and creating your own token. Unfortunately, we have to state that the issue of NFT plagiarism is regulated exclusively by the decentralized internet community, algorithms like those we see on Instagram and YouTube, and the administrations of specific platforms. Therefore, each individual episode of online theft of intellectual property can end differently. As a rule, tokens with digital copies of works linked to them are traded on specially created marketplaces. Such communities independently take on the protection of the rights of creators. An example is the Online Platform Foundation, which highlighted the problem of protecting the copyright of its users in internal rules. Also, within individual platforms, automated algorithms for detecting copyright infringements are often used, which simplifies the process of identifying criminals. Remember, when you buy an NFT, you are not buying a digital work of art. You are buying a token certificate, which may guarantee your exclusive ownership rights, or may not guarantee anything other than the ability to own a unique digital token. Fraud in the NFT market is much more than it might seem. And the market behaves strangely for them. We see many cases where person A buys NFT for $10. Person A sells it to person B for $10,000. Person B sells it to person C for $100,000. Person C sells it to person D for $10,000. In the scenario above, persons A, B, C are the same person who shuffles money between anonymous accounts. And person D is a victim of scammers, deceived by artificially far-fetched demand. This is called flush trading and is illegal in most other markets. NFT is also an almost perfect vehicle for money laundering. Suppose you own several million tokens that are associated with a ransomware attack and want to cash them out on a cryptocurrency exchange. But such an exchange is not possible due to AML laws. And then you create an NFT, sell it to yourself on one of the NFT platforms, and, of course, turn the dirty tokens into clean tokens that the exchange will allow you to cash out into real money, thus hiding the crime. The NFT case in 2021 revealed a whole abyss of problems for the global community. This is the incompetence of the media, inflating the flywheel of unhealthy excitement because of the desire to simplify everything and earn more clicks. These are also questions of law. Despite all the obvious advantages as an indisputable document about the possession of a digital asset, NFTs in their current form cannot do anything about the problem of plagiarism in the online space. And many national legal systems still refuse to recognize the legitimacy of smart contracts. The question how to distinguish innovation from unhealthy hype. Much more difficult than it seems, and only time will make the final verdict. And yet, NFTs are already here, and they will be with us for a long time to come. These are such funny stories from the world of NFT that I told you today. Good luck to you, my dear friends. If you liked this video, then don't forget to press the like button to share this information with other people. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel to follow the news and keep abreast of the latest developments in the world of economics and investment.